Recording in progress. All right. I don't know if anyone, I don't know, like when I push that, I don't know if anyone can hear that. Or that's like an internal thing.
Oh, I hear it.
Okay. So Zoom started this something new here. I guess you need consent now to record. So, which is fine. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 18 of Your Personal Record, the show where I talk to people about music, about record collecting, about whatever we feel like talking about. And this is in all 18 episodes. This is the first time that I've brought somebody back. That's right, bringing back my brother-in-law Ben over here. And today we're not going to talk about Yardbirds. I mean, I'm sure it will come up at some point, but no, we're just gonna rap. We're just gonna talk, and just about music in general. It's sort of the post Memorial Day, or rather, I guess I'll put this up, on Memorial Day. So it will be the Memorial Day tribute, and of course, to the veterans who perished, fighting for our country and working for our country and whatnot. Hats go off to you. Another slight change in the show is I trimmed. I got a haircut and a beard trim. I look about 10 years younger. I think. Maybe I don't, but yeah, it was time. I had sort of said at the start of this COVID thing, when we went into lockdown, I am not shaving, I'm not getting a haircut. And that was like some 16 months ago. And the time has come. I've been vaccinated for a long while already. The world seems to be opening up. Shows are starting up again, gigs are starting up again. And if I'm gonna be on stage, I gotta look good. Anyway, Ben, what's doing there?
Hey, happy Memorial Day, everyone.
I don't think you say happy Memorial.
You don't say happy.
I think it's just sort of
Just, remember.
have a meaningful Memorial Day, maybe.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I don't know. I
Well,
think
I hope everyone's at least enjoying the day to the best of their recognition of what the day means to them, and that's all we can do. And so I'm trying to do that here in lovely, beautiful day outside in Atlanta, Georgia. Got my Walk Street Records shirt on to recognize the record shops that are still open and doing business. They started a little early in the COVID process. It's a tight store. Look, record stores, they're elbows in, and these guys, they had the windows open and the doors open and everything open and masks, and people came in. That place was always packed. There were always new releases people were eager to get to, and I think that's.
Now, did Walk Street close at all during the pandemic, or like how did it work down there?
Every time I passed that place, that they were open. I didn't always go in. I just was, but it always seemed like it was open. So.
Yeah, because up here in New York, the stores were closed.
Yeah,
at least a month or two, if not longer.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned it on an early interview with Jeff from Black Gold. They're a coffee shop and record store, so they remained open, and that was the place to sort of go when you just needed that fix. It's I just have to flip through records, and you're gonna go there and get yourself a good cup of coffee and some records.
And you bring up a point there. It's like you'd sooner flip through 1,000 records and just get record hand and not knowing that ever like use Purell like after a record show,
Well, except for me, I was always kind of I mean, back 30 years ago there was no Purell, so you walked around with that dust all over your hip. I suppose you could wash your hands, but who thought of that? I mean, now it's a necessity. But now, have record shows or record fairs, have they kicked in down in Atlanta yet?
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any listings. It doesn't mean that there aren't any. But friends of mine who are collectors who I would meet up at shows with are not ready yet to attend them.
Yeah.
So because they're usually the ones who tell me when it's a go to meet up. So I'm probably going to go to the next one that I find out about. I think it's time. I think we're ready.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple up here already. We had one outdoor one, and in the Long Island Railroad parking lot, and that was really good. I mean, it was sort of like they sort of piggybacked on an art show, I guess. People selling kind of art
Right.
tchotchkes and whatnot. And,
Right.
but there are a whole bunch of record vendors. These guys are great. I knew a whole bunch of them. And then there was an indoor one in Massapequa a couple of weeks ago, and they're doing the next outdoor one in a week or two. I think maybe 3 weeks, Father's Day, somewhere around there. So that, should be good as long as the weather holds up.
Let me ask you a question. Um, at the record shows, do you find any dealers who like do the traveling gig? They hit Chicago, they hit the Northwest, they go down to South. I mean, I remember back in the day, it was always like a caravan of dealers who would travel show to show. And then I remember this one guy, I won't name names, but he just said, I'm not making enough. And this was a long time ago. This is when records were still on the somewhat of a decline, but he just wasn't making enough to cover his costs. He said, I think this is my last time in Atlanta. And he just never came back.
I think most of the dealers that come out to the Long Island shows are local and remain, for the most part, local. In other words, they'll do upstate New York, they'll do Jersey, maybe they'll Northeast, Boston area, going down to probably Philly or maybe, Maryland or something. And that's for the most part it. You got Mike Overn, he just did the Austin show. And he's got his route where he'll, sort of stop off and shop, and then, double back up and shop and restock. And so he might be one of the, the guy who kind of goes the farthest distance. But I think, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, dealers, if you're, watching, let us know in the comments. But from what I understand, most of these guys seem to be within the Northeast.
Got it.
And then of course you have the FMU show, which isn't or didn't or won't be happening until 22.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's the show that everyone is they travel for that one. I mean, you're getting people from all over the country coming in, setting up, and not only dealers, but you're getting buyers from all over. That's probably the biggest show in in the area. And I mean, I'm waiting for, for Mike and Amanda's Vinyl Revolution show to kick back up again. That's always a great show. They do one in Queens and one in Garden City. And, they really handpick the dealers, and they're a terrific group of vendors and dealers and whatnot. But in the last record show that I went out to, I didn't do too great,
No.
Nah. It wasn't, I don't know what, maybe it's me. I don't know. I can't figure it out, but.
Well, it comes down to what do you step into a show or a store, and, there's a certain autopilot that says, okay, what are my top collected bands? And I'll, hit that bin first and exhaust that. And then maybe your route takes you to the wall. Okay, well, what have they got that they think is worth gold? And then you double back, and then you start going new arrivals. I mean, everyone has their process, right?
Right.
But my collecting friends have different ideas of what a record show win is. It's either something they have 18 of, except they got it at a good price, right? Or it's something they never knew existed. The surprises are always the best. That's like top shelf. Like, I can't believe this record existed and came to my city, and I was able to just pick it right up. Like, that blows their minds every time, right? But and then sometimes it's just sometimes you get the well, it's not on, I don't have it out in the racks, but let me pull this private bin out from under the table here, and let me show you what the real good stuff is. And sometimes you can find some gems in there. But I mean, for the most part, I think you and I have had other kinds of wins where you're flipping through and you find a record that has an interesting cover. And maybe a drummer, maybe the producer, maybe you just know the label. They're on a label with another band that I like. And you're like, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a chance to see what's on this thing. And every so often, you find something that is just, oh my God,
It's a
this
home run.
home run. This is incredible. Um, I've had a couple of records like that. I think one, I mean, at the time I didn't know who they were. Of course, everyone else did. Frijid Pink.
That's a good
Frijid
one.
Pink. Frijid Pink. I picked out of Pure Platters back in the day.
Hoboken.
In Hoboken, New Jersey, for all of $4.99, and loved the cover. And this version of House of the Rising Sun is absolutely stellar.
Now, I mean, I remember you had that record in high school, so we're
Yeah.
talking, a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And and it was always such a great, I mean, that bubblegum pink,
Oh God. Yeah.
and yeah, that's, I mean, you paid $4 a Pure Platters. That's $15-20 record now. So it went up,
Right.
and a
Yeah.
killer record. Yeah.
All right.
And that's something that was a total blind buy for you.
Blind buy, absolutely blind buy. Because if I remember, I mean, there were a couple of shops where the record store owner or some of the clerks there would kind of help you out. Hey, what are you looking for? What you might like? You get into conversations. Other places not
so much
interested in you. Pure Platters, I don't remember ever talking to anybody there. So this had to have been a pure buy.
But Pure Platters, I might have mentioned this on the show, earlier at various points. Whenever Pure Platters comes up, I think I bought every single Husker Du piece that I have at Pure Platters. For some reason, that was like a breeding ground for Husker Du. I can't tell you why. It was just, it was more, I guess, more of an indie shop back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But to find Frijid Pink there is pretty cool. I had a blind buy. I didn't prepare it. It's behind here. Behind that giant Lou Reed post. Let me tell you a little about this. So this week, nice segue there. This week, there was an auction, an online auction, and they were selling or auctioning rather a huge lot of mostly Lou Reed, a nice selection of Patti Smith, and a few Ramones pieces. And it's not like an eBay auction where, the thing ends at 8:00 and whoever the highest bidder is at 8:00, you walk away with it.
Right.
This is where if you bid within the last like 5 minutes or something, and you're the high bidder, it extends the bid for another 5 minutes. Okay. So if something ends at 8, in theory, if it keeps getting bid on, you're sitting there till 10:00 at night, just hitting high, continue. Right. And I mean, luckily it ended, most of the things ended within a few minutes, but I ended up with 16 different Lou Reed, or 15 Lou Reed and one Patti Smith, all framed, all various sizes. It was mostly Mistrial, from Mistrial, which is 86, going to Ecstasy, era Lou Reed stuff. And I like these backstage. I think this is the Mistrial tour, back in 86, a couple of pass. Again, it was just, Frank. Are you still looking at it there? All right.
Just me.
So right. I guess everyone is right. So you got all right, here we go. Make sure it's all right. Forget that. We'll put it up here and hope that a cat doesn't come and knock it over. So there was that. There was this. I mean, this thing here is about 5 foot tall, and it's Dirty Boulevard. I guess a Dirty Boulevard promo poster. Again, it's framed. This thing is pretty cool. The Lou Reed shilling for Honda.
Oh wow!
Now, I mean, I already had the Lou Reed counter stand up when he was shilling for American Express cards. And that's it's been on the wall. It's a nice piece, but this one here, Lou Reed shilling for Honda scooters. I mean, what a RoboCop looking scooter that is, huh?
Yeah, seriously.
So there's, a couple of, I mean, just, a few really big promo posters, a few European tour posters. Some of them are up on the wall already in various spaces, but it was a nice auction. I didn't get any of the Ramon stuff. I actually had, quite a few of the things that they were auctioning, and got outbid on a few of them. I'm like, you know what, I don't need to sit here and wait on this, and but
Right.
they went for, for decent prices. This one's kind of cool too. This is the only Patti Smith one that I got. I guess it's fairly recent, and it's just a sign that was up in whatever venue, announcing that if you remain here, you will be webcast. So,
Your
you know,
image and likeness are now ours.
that's it. You don't own yourself anymore. The webcast owns you. But yeah, I did it. So, we were talking. Oh, there you go. Oof. Oh,
The
that's
best.
that's your favorite live Lou.
From the Music Box on Union Turnpike,
Yep.
$3.99.
That record, up until a couple of years back, really went for three. I mean, you couldn't get rid of it, and now, now it's not the case. I mean, people are buying up Lou. I mean, he's not. I wouldn't say that most of the commercial stuff is really collectible. I mean, you can get most Lou Reed. Transformer goes for a couple of bucks.
Which kind of is startling, but I mean, it's just,
But then
what is it?
right, but then everything up until New York, and now everything from maybe Lou Reed, like his second album, the self-titled album.
Yeah.
Sally Can't Dance, Berlin,
Yeah.
10, 15, $20 records. But then, you go all the way through his 80s oeuvre
Mhm.
until you get to New York. And now New York makes that price jump. New York, a nice clean copy of New York is 30, give or take $30, $40. But my all-time favorite Lou Reed album, one of my all-time favorite albums
Is
is New
is
York.
which?
New York.
So that's interesting, because I think my favorite, and I apologize for turning my back here for a second.
That's all right. Everyone's looking at live Lou, so with the black lipstick on. So,
And of course, I can't pull it out, and I didn't come prepared for all of my. I think Berlin is it. I think Berlin is my favorite.
I mean, Berlin it's a dark album. That
Dark, I love it.
is a ridiculous. But I mean, compare Berlin to Magic and Loss, another late era Lou album.
Yeah.
That Debbie, your sister, my wife, called that. She says of that album that's like sitting in a hospice with someone, just waiting for someone to die. And I mean, that really is the album. It's she can't listen to it.
Yeah.
It's too dark.
Yeah.
To me. That's I mean, yeah, it's certainly not an album for every mood, but it's it's an album that you can put on. It's just like I fall deep into it.
So, just while we're of people who are recently deceased, give a little shout out
Oh
here.
yeah, just a couple of days ago, huh?
A couple of days ago, right?
B.J. Thomas. Wow, raindrops keep falling on my head, huh?
Hooked on a Feeling. I mean, I don't pretend to know his whole catalog, but
I don't. I mean, I know just pretty much raindrops keep falling on my head, but
it's stereomonic, whatever that means.
stereomonic.
Yeah,
Oh,
stereomonic.
and it's got that nice gold, gold
Yeah.
shiny. Yeah. They
With-
weren't skimping with BJ's greatest hits there.
And oh no, this is the real deal fold out. Although I don't think this is supposed to fold out in that third try over here.
Oh, I think you just broke it. It's not an ELP album.
Exactly.
Now this is one that I know this is one of your favorites, one of my favorites.
Okay. Oh, Mink.
Yeah. I mean, let's spend a hot minute talking about Mink right over here.
This guy was so top of his game. This guy was all of it. This guy, I mean, I was just watching a live show from either Italy or from France, somewhat more recent in the 90s. And he's just got the coolest flair about him. And he's in every moment. He's never not being absolutely genuine in every performance. He's such a stellar performer. His songs are so strong. That first album that you pulled up there is just you talk about a perfect record. I mean, to me,
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. I agree. What did you said something about the record? It's I forgot your phrasing. You said this a while back. You're like it's desperate, but I don't remember the exact wording, but it was, it opens itself up, and yet it's whatever it was, but it was a very astute comment. Of course, I can't remember it now.
and I'll never be able to get
But
that.
I mean, really, you go and this is, I mean, here's a cheap rate. You could find this one
Oh
for
yeah,
under $5. And I'll pick it up anytime I see it for under $5 because, $3, $2, but we're talking pristine condition.
mhm.
Why is this record a $3 record?
I don't know.
I mean, this is pure gold right here. Pure gold.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to admit this on camera, but I had that 12-inch acetate of that record, and I don't anymore.
Oh,
And
wow.
for the life of me, I can't tell. I don't remember the circumstance. I think somebody else wanted it really badly, and I
Wow.
never usually sell stuff like that, and I did, and
And now you don't have it anymore.
I don't have it.
Well, someone is
Yeah.
watching, and someone, if you're watching and you have it, just let us know. Ben wants it back.
I want it back.
Now that really is I mean all of it. I guess, listen, I wasn't around at the time, back when it was out at CBGB's, but he
Right.
certainly did not necessarily fit that CBG. Well, maybe there wasn't a CBGB's mold though, and I guess there really wasn't.
I think if you read the television book and what was going on at the time at CB's, I think you're hitting on a point there. It wasn't so much the sound as the attitude, right?
Yeah.
Because everything that went through the door was such a departure from pop music or popular music attitudes at the time that it didn't matter. It could have been a Talking Heads or a Meek DeVille or Ramones or whomever, right? The sort of the feel of the room just was the perfect background to whatever you stuck in it. I mean, any kind of punk or prog or whatever you want to, even the smooth flair of Mick DeVille, I think is ideal.
Yeah.
So but there was another point I wanted to make, which of course now I can't remember. But I'll get there. There was a question. Okay, we're going to take a step to the left for a second. Okay, I have a question. Yeah, you're the left.
That's my left.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
So I'm not going to get into Yardbirds. This isn't the Yardbirds question, but it's a Yardbirds record that happens to be at the center of this. I was recently enticed by a listing, not eBay, not auction, not any of that, from an online record store that had 2 sealed original Yardbirds records, and I thought, and the prices were okay, right? And they're listed as sealed, and original, and they arrived the other day, both of them, and they both arrived exactly the same. The first, it's not even there's no shrink wrap, so I'm like, well, it's not sealed.
So it's not sealed.
But the record is sealed. Okay, this is a sealed, perforated, unopened record bag.
All right.
Same with the now one is the mono, one was the stereo. This one did have shrink on the cover, which I thought is nice, but again, the record is sealed, but the whole album isn't sealed. Is that fair to call it a still sealed sell?
Well, all right. I've never come across a sealed inner sleeve.
It's unusual.
So now, I mean, does it feel old? I mean,
oh, it's original. There's no question about that. The existence of the sealed record bags are corroborate. I mean, it's a thing.
All right.
It's just,
now, These are American issues or UK issues?
These are American issues.
All right, because
American.
I know that, I mean, I can't speak going back to the 60s,
Yeah.
but I certainly in the 80s, most UK records did not come in shrink wrap.
Right.
So,
That's right.
you can then you can justify it by saying, well, if the inner sleeve is but I've never seen something like that, so I have no idea. Now,
Well,
what are
it
these?
would.
Look, I mean, you look at the records, and it's not like the guy resealed or took like
Yeah.
a heat sealer and sealed
No.
the
No,
inner.
because there's a very fine perforation, and that's completely intact
All right.
on both.
So who took a bite out of that one over there? The
Yeah, I don't know. That's I'm not sure about that
cookie
one,
cookie monster.
but I'm just curious what your readers might think
Well,
of, being sold a still sealed record, and it's technically sealed, but it's not really sealed. Like, would you
I
chip them?
mean, I would have certainly, had I listed it. And I mean, I'm not a dealer. I don't, for
Yeah.
the most part, well, like I say, this is like a roach motel. It comes in and it never goes out.
Right.
So, but had I posted it,
Yeah.
I would have made sure to say, the inner sleeve is sealed. There is no shrink wrap, or shrink wrap is open. Inner
Mhm.
sleeve is sealed.
That's all.
But you might not. Now, have you bought from this shop before, or?
Yeah, many years ago, and
Right.
I haven't had a problem with them. It's just,
I mean, it's still certainly cool,
yeah, no,
but
it's
maybe
definitely cool.
maybe
You
it's a
know,
little misleading. I would say,
yeah, that's
certainly misleading. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Now, I picked this up over the a couple over the last couple of days here. This Grace Jones.
Okay.
Now, I really didn't know a whole lot about Grace Jones prior.
Mhm.
Checked it out when I was driving out to Ohio. Put on some Grace Jones, kind of dug it. It was the kind of more new wavy stuff, like the post disco Grace Jones,
Right.
and picked this up, mostly cover songs here. But upon doing a little bit of research,
Mhm.
a B-side for this album,
Yeah.
well, for one of the singles that was released off of this album, this is Warm Leatherette, which was a cover. I don't remember who did the original,
Yeah.
but it was one of these, like, real jerky new wave, songs. She does a great job with it. So as a B-side to one of the singles on this, she's covering Joy Division, She's Lost Control.
Are you serious?
And and I checked it out this morning. And it's like like a reggae version of She's Lost Control. And yeah, it's on. It's good. It's good. And I mean, I got to preface things by saying I'm really not the biggest reggae. I mean, maybe it's not like real reggae, but it's sort of like, kind of new wave reggae interpretation, whatever you want to
Right.
call it. I don't know a whole lot of reggae. I don't know any. I know a little Bob Marley, a little Peter Tosh. That's really the extent of my reggae. I'm not digging deep into, Trojan records or any. I don't know any of that. Like ska, it's not my jam.
Let me tell you, I got a buddy who's into that genre, and it is huge.
Oh, huge, huge.
Oh my God, money is big in reggae, on vintage and offbeat, and
Yeah.
one-off label type releases. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I can't enjoy it. You walk into a record store that playing some, what to me is obscure reggae, and it's, you groove to it, you
Yeah.
digging it.
Yeah.
But I was kind of blown away by that. So you got to check that out. The Grace Jones, She's Lost Control.
You'll have a link in the
I'll
description.
yeah, I wouldn't want you to go, searching for it. I'll link it in the description down there. For anyone who hasn't heard it, link in the description. That's right. And then we'll take this opportunity here to remind everybody, if you like what you see, make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, and leave comments. I mean, we're asking, we want your input, we want your comments. So follow and check it out. And let Ben know about those sealed inner sleeve Yardbirds things. I mean, I'm sure more questions are going to come up throughout the course of the discussion here. But so now, what is that up there?
So this is so in light of Memorial Day. I wanted to make your viewers aware of the fact that many records were pressed for and by the United States Army for their troops stationed abroad, so that they could get,
all their rock and roll needs satisfied.
all their rock and roll needs, and it was part of a series of different presentations that they would do. Like, this is American Forces Radio Television Service. This one happens to have Yardbirds on one side and the Monterey International Pop Festival on the other side, including performances from Otis Redding and Jimi Hendrix.
Nice.
So things like this are actually very collectible. I've seen the AFRTS pressings of the Doors, for example. And sometimes you'll find these in the compilation sections. Store owners will just look at the label and they won't, well, maybe today everyone looks at everything, but back in the day, you could find things that just, they didn't know, they stuck it as a comp. Or the In Sound, presented by the US Army. This is from 1967. It includes song snippets and interviews with Stevie Wonder and The Who and Wayne Newton and The Association and Mitch Ryder. And so these records are also very popular.
Right, so that chances, so these were most likely sent out to Vietnam, I would assume.
Yeah, broadcast week, August 28, 1967. That yeah, absolutely, right. And and it's of all different kinds of genres. I mean, this is the sensuous piano of Dick Hyman. You can go make what you will of that for armed radio forces, television, whatnot. So look through those bins. Be aggressive. There's a lot of these out there, and they're very cool.
Now, are these weekly shows, or?
Yeah, these would have been weekly shows that would have had different. This one is Armed Forces Information Education Department of Defense, and with the Guitar Ramblers, because the Guitar Ramblers were the frontline defenders of our country. And you can listen to Wildwood Flower or Midnight in Madrid and kind of get your training that way, I suppose. Just lots of great records out there that are a little bit off the beaten path, that have some real hidden gems in them.
That's pretty cool.
They represent our great country. So
now the In Sound ones, those have like a really cool cover. Some of them are just in the yellow sleeves. I mean, any research on that? I'm sure that all of these came with a notes sheet.
Yeah, so some of these some of these had the little what do they call them,
the cues,
cues, yeah, the cue sheets, whatnot. Not all of them did. You had to figure these records came from here or pressed here, went all the way across the seas, and had to come back here at some point.
Right.
Things got lost along the way.
I mean, I would think certainly a certain amount of them had to have stayed in country, army bases, naval bases, and whatnot.
Right.
But I'm sure that if I had to guess, these probably remained in country. I wouldn't imagine that people would, but maybe the radio disc jockeys would then take them back after their tour.
Yeah.
I guess technically that's government property right there. But we're not going to talk about that. Exactly. So now, something that I've been grooving to over the last last like month or so.
Yeah.
I think it was Amazon had the Michael Hutchence documentary.
Oh, nice.
And I got to tell you, prior to watching that, yes, probably every INXS hit. That was certainly the Kick album. I mean, that when you listen to that album, it was like a greatest hits. That was out, 86, 87, 80, somewhere around 88. Every song was a hit, every song. But, kind of going a little back, I picked this one up at Academy the other day. It's came out, it was one or two before the big hit. This one had what is it? The One Thing. I think that might have been the like the big hit off of this one. But listening to INXS, after watching that documentary is kind of eye-opening. I mean, what I never realized what a true talent Hutchins was.
Let me tell you something. That was let's start with the band. The band behind him were absolutely rock solid. Those guys had just an amazing feel for what to do that best serves the song at any time. And speaking as like with my producer hat on, I'm telling you, what they did was absolutely phenomenal. Now I saw INXS back in New Jersey many years ago. Ziggy Marley opened.
Wow. And I'm assuming like they were playing a stadium. This wasn't like City Gardens.
Oh yeah, no, this was I don't know, somewhere in East Rutherford maybe. I don't know.
Like Meadowland, whatever they called it. Not Giant Stadium, but like the smaller Meadowlands or what? Yeah, Brendan Byrne Arena.
And it was just jaw dropping. Like you said, like what you know from the songs and the radio and whatnot, but then when you saw it live and you saw them come together, it was just this whole other thing that was huge. They were huge sounding. And that's when my appreciation just went up the charts. I mean,
right,
tremendous talent.
It's really a sad story. I mean, here was a guy who really pursued music, pursued rock and roll, and was, really just depressed, just a very sad, insecure.
Yeah.
And, what a sad end to a true talent. And again, someone that, I'm not into pop music per se. So, I mean, I can hear a catchy pop song and know like, wow, I mean, that song it's the earworm songs, they stick in your head.
Right.
But, and a lot of these INXS songs really do stick in your head, whether it's the big pop, the radio hits, or the stuff that you're listening to that are buried on an album, and you'll be singing that one, a little bit later.
I heard the other day, I was listening, I heard Mystify.
Yeah.
And Mystify, it just like you said, you heard it, but then it kept echoing and echoing afterwards. I'm like, what is that? Oh my God, I'm listening to this song in my head now for 3 days. And I only heard it once.
Now on I think it was on the Kick CD reissue, they had like a demo of that.
Yeah.
And where it's just piano, and it's kind of haunting, it really sounds really, really good.
I think there's a snippet of that in the video where it's just them at the piano and they're just sort of working through it. And
They showed that scene in the documentary.
Yeah.
And it was really good, just a terrific sounding piece right there.
He says well, it's all good except for the ending. Yeah, that was great.
And let's see, I picked this up just the other day as well, the reissue for My Bloody Valentine.
Okay.
Now this is a band that sort of eluded me when they were out. I guess this is from, I'm not even sure what year. Maybe I'm gonna throw out 89, but I could be wrong. And I think I was looking for stuff a little heavier at the time. And never bothered. And again, fairly recently, we're going to reissue, and evidently this one made it to the States, but Loveless never even, I mean, most record shops and distributors, from what I understand, couldn't even get it in the States. And I would have picked that one up too, but it's a really nice looking reissue. Nice, booklet, nice, like kind of maybe a 9x9 booklet inside. Regular vinyl. I guess this is the deluxe issue from what they're saying. I don't know.
What does Marcy call it? The extra track and the tacky badge.
Yeah. Marcy's not getting a whole lot of love these days.
No, maybe
but you know what? He shouldn't be. So I mean, the hell with this guy. Although I will say that I was doing a gig the other day, and I don't know what they were playing over the sound system. It was mostly, I guess, pop, and a Smith song comes on.
Yeah.
And, you can see the people whose ears kind of perk up. I'm setting my stuff up and whatnot. And the manager of the venue comes over to me and he's like, "Oh, I can listen to this all day." And I'm like, "I don't know. Now you just told me how old you are." And, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Smiths, I mean, I dig it, but I can't, I can't listen to them. I can't
No.
listen to him or them or.
I mean, for me, it's kind of like what you're saying before. I can only put it on when it's you can only listen to it in a certain mood, in a certain frame of
Yeah.
mind, I suppose, right? And
Yeah.
it's funny because another friend of mine said, what are you listening to these days? I'm listening to the Doors, and they're like, what's wrong in your life? Oh, if you got an hour.
Now, I was watching that movie on Netflix about the zombies. I don't know what the hell it's called. It's a new one that just came out like a couple of days ago, and most of the songs there were cover songs. It was the zombies in Vegas. They had a couple of original Elvis, Viva Las Vegas, and Suspicious Minds opens the movie, and as we progress in, they're doing a cover of the Doors. I'm going to say maybe the Ravenettes, and it was just the end. And I'm like, well, who is this? And of course I had to
Yeah,
Spotify it, which I taught
yeah,
you about last time you were on here. No,
yeah, and
not
I tried.
Spotify. Was it Spotify? Shazam. I Shazammed it.
I tried it. Yeah, didn't
And
work.
okay, but now it didn't work, of course
Not for
not.
me.
But let me see if I think it was the Ravenettes, and I was like, wow, this is really good. I mean, how does this work here? Library? I don't even know. Recent Shazams. Yeah, the Ravenettes, the end. The
Oh
Ravenettes.
wow. Okay, that's a
So
tall order. Yeah.
certainly worth checking out, if you're into your, sort of
Okay,
Doors
so
covers.
if you're going to go down that road, I think the best Doors cover. Well, there's two great Doors covers, right? The one from the Lost Boys soundtrack, People Are Strange, right? And
Yeah,
I apologize, audience. I don't have the name of the band on top of my head. I'm blinking.
I've
But
got that probably right back there somewhere.
yeah, the second one that is more of a recent discovery is Stone Temple Pilots doing Break On Through. And
Really?
let me tell you, that absolutely floored me. I didn't know what to expect of it. It was really powerful.
Huh.
So highly recommended.
I can't sink my teeth into much of that 90s,
I know, I hear you, but what they did to Break On Through, definitely worth checking out.
Now, there was another movie that I was watching with Mark Wahlberg the other day. I don't remember what it was called. It was not a great movie. It was a 90s movie. He plays like a stalker boyfriend, and the soundtrack was mostly that it took place in Seattle, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
As many of the great 90s movies did, I suppose. And
Right.
maybe not, I don't know. But but the soundtrack was most of this grunge stuff. And
Singles,
listen,
right?
what
Wasn't
was
Singles Seattle?
singles, yeah, with was it Matt Dillon?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, again, I couldn't I in the 90s I wasn't much into it. I had the Nirvana, the Nevermind
Uh,
CD, and I had the first Pearl Jam one, and I had the like a
look,
promo Soundgarden tape, and I
I know, but the thing is that and I won't speak for you, but I think that a part of our apprehension in adopting grunge was the fact that it was killing metal. And we were hardcore metal at the time
yeah.
and listening to, 1480s Z Rock. Make it the station your neighbors listen to.
That's right. Short lived, but damn, what a station.
Right? AM. I
Yeah.
only had AM in the car, so
Yeah, that was it. It's either that or 10-10 wins.
so I don't think that I was ready to listen to this sort of what I considered kind of lazy music.
Yeah.
It was just sort
Yeah.
of loud, but it felt loud and indifferent, whereas metal was just sort of hard edged and
Like purposeful. Yeah.
purposeful.
I mean, even if the purpose was just, booze and chicks, I
Broad.
guess, but
Yeah, right.
but
Cars and girls.
cars and girls. That's right. But I mean, the truth is, yeah, I guess yes, grunge. You look at the history books now, and oh, grunge killed metal. I mean, I guess it was sort of an extension of hard and heavy music, but blending metal and punk, and you get this grunge thing. But it just wasn't my bag.
No, I was sooner to accept the metal rap thing with like Bring the Noise.
Bring the Noise. I mean, that's about it. I have a test pressing of Bring the Noise.
Do you really?
Of the single, the 12-inch. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know where I got it, but it might have been on Union Turnpike. It might have been I think it may still have the price stick. I got to check that out.
Yeah.
But right, I mean, that was an interesting move. I mean, you remember we saw Public Enemy and Anthrax at the Ritz, and I mean, holy cow, what a show! I mean, that was just
crazy.
It was all there. And I mean, Public Enemy I still dig them. They're really, really one of the only hip hop acts that I can really sink my teeth into. I've tried. I mean, I Run DMC, L Cool, the early stuff like. Oh, there it is. All right, we got to hear about that. Speaking of Run DMC.
So this is autographed. You probably can't see this. So this is autographed.
Still can't see it.
Yeah, I know. It's in ballpoint pen, not in Sharpie. But
they didn't have Sharpies back then.
Run, J Master J, DMC, to my brother and myself. So this album came from my dad. My father's boss in the Board of Ed, City of New York, was Russell Simmons' father. So he would get us, autographed Run DMC records. And I thought that was pretty slick. Oh, this one's also autographed. Look at that.
I remember your father telling us how, so it was Russell Simmons' father.
Yeah.
Was a teacher or a supervisor within the Board of Ed. And I mean, his kids are doing fantastic. You got Russell Simmons, you got Run, and they're making money. They're doing well. And they wanted to obviously take care of their dad still worked for the Board of Ed.
Yeah, he I think a supervisor for the attendance department, or
whatever it is.
Whatever.
Yeah, truant officer. And they would get him a new Cadillac every year. Whether he wanted it or not, that was what he didn't want. The house, he didn't want to retire. He kept working, but he got a new Cadillac every year. So kids, take care of your parents.
Take care of your parents, exactly. Exactly. There's a clipping in here from the New York Post, August 18th, 1987, Together Forever, Run DMC and the Beastie Boys.
Wow. That's 87, yeah.
87, long time
but
ago.
I mean, I remember when the Beastie Boys record came out. That was what? That was probably 85.
Well, let's see. There was She's on It from the Crush Groove. That was 85 or 6, something like that. And then
the License to Ill record.
License to Ill was like, I want to also say like 86.
80, yeah, somewhere around there, 85, 86. And I mean, back then that was something. I mean, it was punk rock, it was hip hop. I liked it. I tried listening to it fairly recently, and I couldn't. Again, I mean, I'll probably get slammed for saying this, but it just doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah, it's sorry.
Oh no! Oh.
So it's very dated, and I think a lot of, especially that album was very contextual because it was the freaking soundtrack of high school, at least for a certain
right
population. So it's all like, I happen to have had a special affinity for it, given all of the Jimmy Page samples and Led Zeppelin, snippets that were, stuck in there throughout. But, it was just one of those things for a couple of white kids in Upper Manhattan to, just
change the face of hip hop, right?
Yeah, really. I mean, and they toured with Madonna, I think didn't they open for her?
I don't know. We all know they started as a hardcore band. I mean, they were involved in, the New York hardcore scene before they, shifted their own gears and went into the into hip hop. But I listen, No Sleep Till Brooklyn still is an iconic. I mean, it really is. It's an iconic song. When that comes on, everyone will perk. I mean, at least, in this neck of the woods.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn and probably Paul Revere.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Those two are.
And what was the other? What the hell was it? Fight for Your Right to Party.
You're right. That was the big. Yeah.
And then there was. I thought Sabotage was actually really good off of maybe the third or fourth. I don't even know.
Yeah.
The later album, but I thought that song and that video when that was out was terrific.
That was really powerful. That had a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And I guess you could thank Rick Rubin for that. I assume he had something to do with it.
I mean, when you break it down, all that Def Jam stuff, or Def Jam / Def American, or I mean, he's signing Beastie Boys and he's signing Slayer, and he's working with Johnny Cash. I mean, this is wow.
Right.
Whoa.
Right.
But what I always wanted to see, and I mean, Rick, I don't know that you're listening or watching this, but if you are, I would love to see a Barry Gibb, Rick Rubin collaboration. I mean, we're talking, bring it to what he did, to what Rick Rubin did with Neil Diamond, to what he did with Johnny Cash. Just strip it down. Barry, just hit record, let him go.
That's great. No, I like that. I think that's spot on. I think Rick has that way to connect with people to get that real honest sound out of them, and I think that's exactly the kind of person I would target too. Barry Gibb would be.
It's because he walks around barefoot. That's what it is. He's a guru. He's a music guru that walks around barefoot. But yeah, I mean, just imagine, Barry Gibb totally stripped down to the essence of what the music is. I mean, Barry Gibb can do no wrong. This guy is just. You saw the Bee Gees documentary. It was on HBO.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I mean, just as a behind the scenes kind of guy, the portion where they took the drum sample from Night Fever and looped it in a continuous loop to get that groove, that blew me away how they did that. Incredible.
And so that was it was the same thing for the entire
It had, because they had that swing, and it just nailed that swing perfectly. They didn't need to re-record the live drummer. They didn't have to just loop it, man. Loop that swing.
Yeah,
devastating.
It was. But I mean, they were a perfect band. Sure, they went disco. But when you break it down, the songs were the songs were the songs.
Absolutely.
And the songwriting is great, the structure is great, the production on we're talking everything,
and not just what they did for themselves, they did for other artists. I mean, like Islands in the Stream, a great song. I got it. Or I mean, there's millions, obviously, just come to mind, but or stuff from their early catalog, like Words, right? Great song.
Wow. New York mining disaster. I mean, you're talking. You could just keep going.
Yeah.
Everything that they've done is just the harmonies. But again, for me, it's just the songwriting, the structure of these things. And I mean, listen, the Beatles certainly, you can really compare them at every level. But I mean.
So the Beatles would cite the Beach Boys as the songwriting kings.
Right, right. And well, certainly, the Pet Sounds production was what got them to do, was it Sergeant Pepper? Right?
Yes.
I'm right on that. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't, again, I've never really fully delved into the Beach Boys catalog, but I mean, I imagine that given what I know now, I would be able to recognize that this is like a whole other
Yeah.
playing field.
I mean, I've always said, and again, I'm sort of a peripheral Beach Boys listener,
Mhm.
but their music was the happiest, most depressing music that's out there. I mean, it sounds great, it's poppy, and it's accessible. But when you listen to it, this is some depressing stuff out there,
That reminds me. Just popped this in my head. I remember. I remember when Terry Jacks. Remember Terry Jacks had that single "Seasons in the Sun."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I remember Debbie turning to me, then my sister turning to me saying, "This is why our youth is so messed up."
yeah.
It's this like horribly depressing but pretty poppy kind of song, and it's just, oh my god, Seasons in the Sun. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
I mean,
lot of those.
there is. I mean,
Yeah.
when you listen to, we go back to the Beach Boys for a second, wouldn't it be nice? Now, he's not saying that it is nice. He's
Mhm.
saying, wouldn't it be nice if we
Mhm.
could, So he's not there yet. He's like fantasy. He's miserable. He's absolutely miserable, but fantasizing about what it would be like
Right.
if we could
If
do
we were
all these things.
older
Yeah.
and we could, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But every one of their songs is just like, oh my,
yeah.
Sloop John B. It's everything. It's just so sad, but yet it's poppy and it's powerful and it's really good. And they had was it the Wrecking Crew did like all their studio work, right?
Uh, that would be something to look up. I don't know that off the top of
I
my head.
think so, but maybe I'm wrong. What do I know? I mean, again, as a peripheral listener and not a researcher, but I think I remember that from the documentary on the Wrecking Crew, which was again another terrific documentary that was on Netflix, Amazon or Netflix, one of the streaming services.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah,
They're not paying for
they're
this.
not paying for it. Exactly. Now, we're not going to link to that because whatever. Anyway, all right. What else we got to chat about? Because we've been on for quite a while, and you got any
Uh,
other show and tells?
uh, two more.
All right,
Two more.
let's see.
Another one of the. I put this up there with the. I put this up there with the Frijid Pink. This is a band called The Road, and The Road was another one of these that I bought, sort of not knowing what I was looking at.
Let's take a closer look at that.
Okay, a
All
couple of
right,
guys. All right, got six guys. A lot of guys.
a couple or six, right?
On the Kama Sutra label. So this was probably a buy because you got like Barry Goldberg on Kama Sutra. You have a lot of big names on Kama Sutra, and I like the Robert Frost reference on the back, where the one less travel by has made all the difference. I don't know if they paid rights to quote him, but it's on here nonetheless. And I put this on, and here again, you listen to their version of She's Not There, and you're just like, holy moly.
So what are we listening to? 70s rock, psych. What?
This is I would put this more in the 60s, no date on it, but it's probably from the early 70s given the attire. And I got this at Collector's World, which was a place down here in Atlanta, many years ago. And their interpretation just put that song at the next level, and
Mhm.
I really dug that, The Road. But and actually do a decent version of Mr. Soul. So, but that's few Neil Young fans out there.
See if I can. You keep talking. I'm gonna.
But we were talking before about like and this will be the last of my presentations. We talk about those finds where it's like you're happy to find one song or two songs, and you're like, wow, this was totally worth it. But then to find a record where every song is an absolute home run from a band that at the time I never heard of. I didn't know anything about it, but these cats look so cool. I got
Hot Smoke and Sassafras.
Hot Smoke and Sassafras, right? The Bubble Puppy, one and only pressing of their A Gathering of Promises LP. What an unbelievably talented band. What an absolutely stellar back cover of artwork.
Texas Psych right there.
Right, Texas Psych from the International Artist label. They shared tours with, I believe, Steppenwolf and some other big Texas acts. Their name actually comes from Jimi Hendrix somehow. I don't exactly.
Now, is that an original pressing?
This is an original. This is not just an original pressing. This is an original white
label promo. Oof.
There you go.
Oh, look at this guy.
These don't come by every day.
Damn.
So this was something that was like, I'm sorry, I actually don't have the words. Pick it up, find it on YouTube, listen to it, and you tell me if I'm wrong. But
oh no, that's a killer album right there. I mean, I've got like a CD reissue on that. I'm not springing the big bucks for a white label promo, but
well, that's the thing. At the time that I got this, it was probably $10.
Right. No one wanted it. Yeah.
Now it's
again, I remember you had that one in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're talking the 80s, and you're rocking out to Bubble Puppy when no one cared about Bubble Puppy.
Nobody cared.
No one cared about Bubble Puppy. I mean, what I'm about to show you now is, I mean, it doesn't even compare to Bubble Puppy, but these guys, Mandrill.
I've heard of Mandrill. I don't know why I've heard of Mandrill.
These guys, this is solid. It's kind of, funk, psych, more funk and soul than psych, but there are, and I think they're a New York band, maybe specifically Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And I mean, I had heard them, but love that Mandrill cover. I mean, awesome. And it's a cheap enough record to get, but certainly worth it. Again, for a cheapie, album. I mean, I paid $3 for it. It's not the record plays beautifully. The cover's a little shot, but that's all right. Certainly worth picking up if you just want to have it's just a fun record,
nice
with a great cover. I mean, damn, look at that.
That's great.
But that's the story. All right, let's wrap it up here for this show. So this was episode 18 of Your Personal Record. Here we chatted with Ben, my brother-in-law, for the second time. He holds the distinct honor of coming onto the show twice. We're certainly going to have you on a bit more, because I mean, whereas on this time you weren't just reaching out blindly and pulling out exactly the records that you want. You had to dig a little and you couldn't find, but that's not your Yardbirds rack, so you don't know where, and that's understandable. You're off your game when it's not Yardbirds, but listen, you came prepared with a lot of great show and tell. Now, wait, where's that Steppenwolf poster with the Bubble Puppy that you had? Because I mean, like, everyone should see that, because that was just pretty damn cool.
This is Concerts West. Presents Steppenwolf with Bubble Puppy at the Albuquerque Civic Auditorium.
That's great.
Which is, just very cool for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Bubble Puppy. But anyway, speaking of Your Personal Record, this has been, as I said, episode 18 of Your Personal Record. And remember, if you like the show, if you like our little chats over here, subscribe, because we're doing this every week. Well, I'm doing it every week. Ben will be back, though. So in theory, we will be doing this again, but I'll be doing this every week. And I got some great guests coming up over the next few weeks. So you want to check it out. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave comments. We gave you every opportunity to leave comments in this discussion here. So by all means, we want to hear from you. And as I say, I answer every single one of these personally. All right. I mean, it helps that only about 3 people leave comments per week. But listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. You got to start somewhere. I'm not at the point now where I have a publicist who's writing those comments for me. I'm doing this myself here. in the middle of work, in the middle of, I mean, not during work time, of course, but anyway, doesn't make a difference. If you like us or you like me or you like the show, then just like the show and subscribe and do all of that to improve the metadata so that people around the world can be regaled in tales of record collecting and music as given by me. Friends, thank you so very much. Ben, we'll stick around for another couple of minutes here on the Zoom. Friends, thank you all so much. You'll be seeing this maybe at the tail end of Memorial Day. So again, have a meaningful Memorial Day. Thank you to the troops who've served, the troops who didn't make it. And again, thank you for checking us out. On behalf of me and Lou Reed and Grace Jones, Bob Dylan, and Ben, thanks, everybody.